So this morning muse is inspired by a comment or a post from a Facebook friend. And I just, anything I'm saying here is not to guilt or shame or condemn the person or anyone in that situation. But I feel like I should shine some light on this situation. The friend had been in a bleak phase of deconstruction from Christian theology in the last several years, and by the way he described it, he described it as a period of toxicity and poison that he swam in and also dispensed to others. And he traced it back to a single act of disobedience to God sometime in the past, I guess, when this deconstruction began. Be that as it may, we all have these moments. But what I want to speak on regarding this, what I recognize from this discourse, is that the entire experience of my friend, of this person, is rooted and based in separation, identity, and awareness. First of all, let me define what I mean by that. Separation awareness is that we see ourself, our being, as a separate being from God. And to use the context of the friend in which this is borne out, is he used the language of disobeying the Holy Spirit. The paradigm of obedience and disobedience only exists in separation awareness or duality awareness, meaning me and God. And I have to obey God. And if I disobey God, then there are consequences which this person was addressing. He was comparing the toxic last several years, which in my estimation may have been toxic, but that was an aspect of his dark night of the soul, the detoxing. To detox means you have to purge, and you're gonna let out some really poisonous, dark, yucky stuff to purge that from your soul. This is the walking through the valley of the shadow of ego death. And it's not comfortable by any means. And anyways, he was expressing regret over having done this and unleashed this. And he linked this back to one disobedient act in the past that he said led him onto this dark path. And he has since then found himself back into the arms of God, which in his psychology is still a separate entity. what I want to say, trying to say here, is this whole scenario is a theater play in our psyche. All right? And all of this finds its basis in childhood trauma, in the things that we experienced and interpreted as children. And that has created a pattern through which we interpret and understand life, including our life with God. And in the case of this friend, I see this pattern. The pattern that's generated from his childhood wounds, because he did emphasize disobedience to God or disobedience to the Father, which had severe consequences regarding his spiritual deconstruction, which felt so horrible, psychologically so horrible, that it was interpreted yet again as a punishment, reinforcing guilt and shame because he was disobedient. And this dynamic can't really be resolved as long as we remain in a duality mindset, as long as we see God as another instead of as one, as consciously being aware that God's spirit is my spirit, God's spirit is your spirit. And in that oneness, you cannot disobey yourself, right? There is no second party that you could disobey. You could only change your own mind. If you are that spirit, you make a choice which could be perceived as the wrong choice, but it doesn't warrant punishment because you don't punish yourself. Of course, our ego punishes us by making us feel guilty and ashamed because life ended up being so horrible. But you shouldn't punish yourself. God doesn't punish. God is love. And it says love keeps no record of wrong. So, who is it that punishes you? Who is it that accuses you and guilts and shames you for quote unquote disobeying God? Right? It's your ego. This is all taking place within yourself. And you are functioning from childhood trauma patterns based in disobedience and punishment, reward and punishment. It's because of the duality, the duality mindset, the duality awareness of God and me as separate beings, and where you have two, of course you have to obey the greater power. But this is where you end up in a quandary and constantly living under that cloud of guilt, shame, and anxiety for where you might go wrong again. But love is God, and love does not accuse, love does not shame, love does not punish. The only one that punishes you is your own ego mind. So anyways, just a few words on that. For anyone who finds themselves in a similar situation and is struggling with the duality of mind and with these emotions, look to your childhood shadows and see where this pattern of obedience and disobedience and reward and punishment is rooted. Where did that first take place? And then you will find that this is the pattern that we have projected on God and how we perceive God, right? So I hope this helps somebody. Much love, and have a good day.